Yeah, good evening, viewers out there. Good morning and good afternoon, from wherever you are watching us. And we're back again on Opinion Sharers to discuss topical national issues as it relates to our nation, Nigeria. And of course, you know, we are not limited to discussion on Nigeria alone. We go as far as Africa and, of course, a global space. But this evening, we have eminent individuals in our midst, or rather on the platform, to do justice to what is important to us as Nigerians as we journey into 2023 general elections. And this evening, we are being joined by Mr. Patrick Nwerim, joining us all the way from US. Mr. Patrick is a development practitioner and a voice in the community of democracy activist, and I mean in Nigeria when he was here, and of course even despite being out of the country, he continued to render his opinion on issues that has to do with our nation, and particularly issues around the northeastern region of the country. So he's here to do justice to a whole lot of issues. And of course, I'm being joined by Mr. Paul Fadumo, the engine behind the platform. So he's no stranger to this house. So as you are joining us, as you're watching, I encourage that you share across your platform so that people can get informed, get better enlightened on issues around, about our nation and the global environment at large. So this evening, we'll be looking into what is very important, that's Nigeria and 2023 power play. And we all agree with me that the voices around 2023 elections is getting intensified by day as individuals across party lines continue to render their opinion as to where the power should move to. And that is the presidency now. Now, the presidency we know is an institution but must be headed by a president who marshals the entire affairs of a nation. But interestingly, on the 5th of July 2021, the Southern Governors Forum, headed, or yes, by the Ondo State Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, issued a press statement, and chief among the issues discussed was the commitment to the politics of equity, fairness, and unanimous agreement that the presidency of Nigeria should be rotated between the southern and the northern part of Nigeria. And of course, the Congress agreed that the southern part of the country should be given opportunity to actually take charge of the governance affairs of the nation in 2023. And beyond the southern part of the country, forces from the northern part of the country, the likes of Baba Gana Zulum, the likes of the governor of Benue State Autumn, the likes of Malam Nasiru El Rufai, and all other top political gladiators from the northern part of the region, of the country, as of course, as well, rendered their opinion that power should shift to the southern region in 2023. And of course, putting into consideration a whole lot of speculations here and there in the country, I think perhaps that is the voice of the citizen. So this evening, we have eminent personalities to do justice to all of this, conversation. And I'm starting with Mr. Pat. Yes, the regional power play already began. 2023 is already here because we can see all of that happening even across the nation and of course in the media space. The regional power play is getting intensified. What should be the key priorities as a quest for power to shift to the southern part of the country in 2023? Mr. Pat, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Michael, and thank you, viewers. I'm so happy to be here. Yeah, just like you said, when it comes to politics, some people believe that politics is something that happens in a day. No, politics, when you want to win in politics, in every, society, the process, starts from, immediately the last election took place. So just like you rightly said, 2023, elections the underground processes have, started. As you mentioned, right now we are talking about, issue of zoning. I read a report in Vanguard newspaper today, where the southern leaders, we are trying to emphasize on the fact that presidency should move to the south, and then some northern leaders, we are also insisting that you know presidency should remain in the north because of what happened when Yaradua died, Jonathan taking over and all that. So the game has started. It's already here, but the question is, what, just like you said, what should we prioritize? I feel, I strongly believe in zoning, but I believe that what matters most is the process that throws up a particular candidate in a particular zone. I strongly believe that every zone in Nigeria has capable hands. But the problem is that when you're micro zoning it, are you setting a process in motion that will ensure that at the end of the day, the best in a particular zone comes out successful? Because the issue is that when it comes to election, democracy makes it in such a way that you can only contest election, under a political party. And most times we realize that what happens is that political parties end up giving us choices that we don't have any option than to, going for them. So the process that throws up a particular candidate is very important. And to me, this is something that each political party should put into consideration. It's not all about, zoning to a particular zone, but let the process that will produce a particular candidate of any political party, let the process be in such a way that the best will triumph. Then secondly, we should also prioritize voter registration. By now, I expect, INEC to have put motions in place that will ensure that Nigerians who have turned 18 since the last election in 2019 will have, the opportunity of getting registered. I also feel that the bill at the National Assembly that wants to, empower Nigerians in the diaspora to be able to vote, that bill by now should have been, passed. And Nigeria, because Nigeria has a very huge population, a very huge community in the diaspora. And this community in the diaspora, most of them are actually enlightened. Even the ones who may not be, politically active, who may not be as enlightened as, they should be, having lived in most of these developed countries, they have learned what leadership is all about. They've seen the practical, application of leadership. So most of these people are enlightened. So empowering them and making sure that they vote is very important, because it will help in making sure that the best candidates, wins at the end of the day. So by now, I expect us to prioritize the issue of, people in the diaspora voting. That's one other area I feel like we should also, prioritize. And then another area I feel that we should prioritize is the issue of sensitization by both INEC itself and even the political parties. Unfortunately, we have brought on board the normal fire brigade approach that happens in Nigeria, which is, you see political parties going to the people just months before election. But the truth is that if you really want to make an impact as a political party, if INEC really wants to, bring about the reforms, the changes that we actually want, reorientation of the people, sensitizing the people should start immediately an election takes place.
Yeah, thank you, Mr.
So
Paul.
for
I
now,
think
let me stop here.
All right, thank you so much. You're already pushing out into the other part of the conversation, but something is very important, and I want to especially thank Mr. Martin for joining us. Thank you so much for being part of this show. To our viewers out there, please share these conversations across your platform so that people can get informed on what we are discussing about. Now, Mr. Paul, let us look at this from this dimension, and I began to ponder about it. The southern region is such a region made up of clustered political parties. And when I say clustered political parties, I think only the governor of Oyo State is the only opposition governor, the central opposition governor in the southern part of the country. Why others in the southeast and southwest, south are predominantly PDP. But when we say that power shift, power play, I asked myself a question. Politics, of course, we know is a game of interest, but do we see the power shift demand as genuine, different from the normal jamboree to usher in the the personal the personal interest of individuals across party lines? Everybody now across the southern region, the political gladiators are saying we actually want power to come to us. But don't you see all of this as a mixed speech, as a mixed statement, putting into consideration that the regions are made of, the southern region is made up of clustered political parties?
Okay, Michael, thank you. Before I speak or respond to your question, I want to particularly take responsibility for the confusion in the flyer. The date on the flyer was supposed to be 10th, but then because my schedule is so busy that I forgot to. I thought today was going to be 11, so apology, please forgive me. So now, to your question, when you look at it, I was discussing this with a friend of mine who lives in the US a few days ago. And he was actually of the opinion that the southern governors probably they don't know what they are doing, that they are trying to play politics, that we should be talking about the politics of the best among us representing us, rather than saying let the north or the south or zoning it. You understand? And I said, well, that is true. That is what is supposed to happen in a sane society. In a society, in a 21st century society, that's what should be. But in the kind of society that we have in Nigeria and in most African countries, it is I don't think the kind of politics or democracy, because the democracy is a politics of number. So imagine if you have a the mass or the majority of the people making decision, choosing people, and you can see what democracy has been bringing us in terms of leadership in the past decades. So and so if you now say, okay, let whoever that can pull the majority continue to win, rather than a system that can actually help us to identify the best among us. And so that's why I am, stylishly, saying I understand the position of the southern governors, and let also not forget that the politics that they are trying to play, in my opinion, is that they are being forced to respond to the emotions of the southerners. Don't forget that there have been agitations both in the southeast and the southwest now. So people are saying, okay, this government is not working for us, this system is not working for us, we want to pull out. And don't forget that the southerners, they are not they can be rebellious, unlike the majority of the northerners, where they just kind of follow their leaders or pretend as though it is okay. But here in the south, you see that people are already agitating. And so in order for the southern governors to to show that they understand the emotions on the ground, and I want to say I respect them for that. There have been a series of meetings that is happening, and some of the things that they are doing, starting with the Amotekun and the East trying to replicate it, if not for Nnamdi Kanu and the ESN, and then this forum now, it's an indication that the southern governors are trying to show to the electorate or to the masses that, okay, we understand your pain, and we are trying to do something about it. You see, if they continue like this, there is a possibility that people who would ordinarily not participate in the coming election would be compelled or would be convinced to participate in the electoral process, because that is very, very important. In some of our previous discussions, I said that if Nigeria survives till then, so if Nigeria will survive, Nigerian leaders the so-called leaders now needs to begin to respond to the yearnings of the people. And I think that is exactly what the Southern governance is, what they are trying to do. So it might mean, that and you can understand the sentiment of the Northern governors or the Northern elites. Everybody wants power is sweet, especially the kind of power that exists in Nigeria. It's like an absolute power. So it is switch. You can use it however you want, especially that of the presidency. So I think that's what I would how I would respond for now. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for that submission. Yeah, yeah.
So, sorry.
We are getting it. Okay, Mr. Pat, you have the floor.
Yeah. So, in addition to what Mr. Paul has said, sometimes when people make these comparison and say that in the US, in a place like the US, it's thrown open, there is no requirement or concessions. I don't agree with that at all. Let's look at the US. We know about the Electoral College. Some of us who have been following US politics, we know what happened in 2016 when Hillary Clinton won the popular vote and Trump won the Electoral College. And some people keep wondering why. Why would somebody win the popular votes and then somebody, won the Electoral College, and the person that won the Electoral College became the president? The Electoral College tried as much as possible to reduce the powers and the influence of states in the United States that are very, populated. Had it been the US did not make that concession of the Electoral College, states like California, Texas, Florida, New York, and few other states can just decide to connive and say that, oh, we can be producing the states, the president of this country as much time as we want because we've got the population. These 4 states I just mentioned now has about 35 to 40% of the US population. So what did the founding fathers of US do? They had to make that concession that if we leave this thing to be, to be in form of popular votes, these states will dominate us. So now, how do we make sure that the smaller states also have a sense of belonging? That was how they came up with the Electoral College, which allocated each state a number of votes. That is concession. That is bending the rules positively to make sure that everybody has a sense of belonging. Let's also go to the Constitution of the US. In the US Constitution, the president and the vice president cannot come from the same state. The Constitution forbids it. Why did the US do that? They know that even though we have developed, even though all these, small, peculiarities, small constraints like tribalism and all that may not exist, but even at that, it will not be fair for the president and his vice or her vice to come from the same states. Again, let's also look at it from the angle of what's it called now, in terms of how the federalism in the US is even structured. Mr. Paul, you mentioned it. I strongly believe that a Nigerian president is by far more powerful than even a US president, based on the structure. A US president does not have the right to change the electoral law of a state. We have heard about Arizona, we have heard about some Georgia states coming up with their own electoral laws. And these laws apply to as much as the presidential election. So as far as Georgia is concerned, as far as California is concerned, as far as Arizona is concerned, they make their laws on how to organize the presidential election in their own states. The president doesn't have the power to tell them or to control them on how to run their elections. These things don't happen in Nigeria. INEC is a federal establishment, and they control how elections are run in Nigeria. So when we, say these things, these are some of the things that when people say, oh, the US, the elections are conducted, it doesn't matter where you come from and all that. No, that is not the case. Let's even look at the last election. During the last election, there were a lot of, interest groups. We have the Black Lives Matter movement. We have the Asian caucus. We have the Caucasians, of course, which are the usual, more populated whites, and we have the Latinos. Immediately Biden won that election, each interest group came up demanding for compensation. And Biden tried as much as possible to compensate each of these groups. That was why, for the first time in the US, we have Secretary of Defense, General Austin, who is a black man, and the first time a black man will occupy that position. We now have even the Native Americans, who are the real owners of Americans before the Caucasians, the whites, the Europeans came. They were compensated by giving them the Secretary of Interior. That's a very important position, and the Native Americans got that position. Biden had to make some concessions. He had to consider interest groups. Their own may not be tribe, their own may not be ethnicity, but they have that difference of issue of race. And what Biden did was to consider each of these different groups and tried as much as possible to accommodate their interest. So when Nigerians say these things, I think we should look at it in a more comprehensive way. Look at Switzerland. Switzerland is a typical example of Nigeria.
Mr. Pat, we are still coming to that part of the conversation. I know we are trying to draw examples from other models, other parts of the world. And I think it is very important we do that for the education of the public. Mr. Martins, do we have you there? I think you are the next in line now. Yes. Now the voices are getting heavier by day. People want power to come to the south. But in my mind, I began to think, now we have we have three zones in the south. Four, yes? The southwest is the southeast and the south, three, And when we look at all of these, I think they are trying to snowball, quote and unquote, the south into a very contentious game. Permit me to use that language, because an individual in the southwest will want to be the president. They will tell you that, okay, we have not produced the president for so number of years. And when we look at the south, they will tell you the immediate past, the former president is also from the southern part of, the south region of the country. And of course, we know the southeast have not produced the president ever since we returned to Fourth Republic. And I think, Mr. Pat, you would help us to do justice to that, because we are glad that you are from that region. But Mr. Martins, do you think, or rather, don't you think that this game of 2023 is a game of South against South, not South against the North?
Thank you very much for having me, Martin. And I also greet Mr. Paul and Patrick. It's my pleasure to be here with you. Am I audible enough? Okay, thank you. Well, I think I have to rest heavily on some of the projections or some of the assumptions that have been made by Mr. Patrick. Firstly, let me say I'm also a victim of the error committed by Mr. Paul earlier. I was thinking that this is scheduled for 11 until Michael has to beat me that today. So I'm sorry for not being here on time. Well, to go straight to your question, Michael, I think it's very unfortunate that since 1999 up until now, we are still struggling to accept Nigeria as a collective entity. How do I mean? Up until now, I'm not sure I've seen 20 Nigerians all of my life, and I've been around for a number of years. What I see daily is a Yoruba national, an Igbo national, an Hausa national. I'm yet to see that person that will look beyond, tribal sentiments and ethnic division. It's so unfortunate. We also know that the issue of zoning is not constitutional. Unfortunately, there is no line in our constitution that speaks to zoning. Zoning was conceived, by political parties to ensure balance and equity. Because of our diversity, because of our, how do I put it now? Because of our so many ethnic and all that, divisions and all that. The issue of zoning was conceived to ensure balance. Balance in itself is something we strive for, and that is why I'm so glad when Patrick said that even in America, concessions are still being made almost on a daily basis to strive towards balance. Well, I don't really believe that 2023 is going to play South against the South. I believe that it's going to be the survival of the fittest, like we always say when we play snowball games back then. Uh, Personally, I've had conversation with a number of friends who believe that Southwest might not totally say they are part of the policy of the country as it is now. For crying out loud, Southwest at the moment is having the vice president of the country. And before now, the South South, like correctly observed, has the presidency of this country. And when you look at some other key positions, Southwest also has the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Nobody is taking the number of senators away from Southwest. These are automatic, you know. So I think it's going to be who has it more and who needs it more. And then if we can strive a connection, leveraging on our express needs and anxiety as being reflected by agitations and all that, then we can reach an accord. But as it is now, what is fueling this call is, as you also will rightly know, is the bad governance that we have in Nigeria. I don't know if you also come with an article that says that geographically, so to speak, like over three quarters of Nigeria is not even governed at all. The other ones that are governed are badly governed. And that is why somebody in the north would declare a tax system and then organize a government within a government, collecting tax and all that. So what I would rather want us to talk about is what has actually been the merit of Southwest leaders who are actually in government or who have taken government at some point. What were their contributions to governance? And what was the contribution of the Southern leader who was once the president of this country, to changing the narrative as far as governance is concerned for its people? Do we need a merger if that will ensure, us being a united entity? Not bad, but as it is now, like what Mr. Paul said earlier, if Nigeria will still be to 2023, then we always know how to cross the bridge when we get there. So let me just start by saying politicians cannot be entirely trusted. There are no permanent friends, no permanent enemies. What is permanent to them at a material point in time is their interest. So, and me personally, this might be an unpopular opinion. I don't actually believe in zoning because if our forefathers believed in zoning from inception, it should have been adequately catered for in our constitution. The idea is to have a one united nation, irrespective, a country rather, as against many nations that we have in the country now, irrespective of where you come. I remember when I was in secondary school, my class captain is from Kogi, or was from Kogi State, Ibrahim. Nobody cares about who is the class captain. And when I was even in the university, my governor, Kenneth, is an Igbo guy. Nobody cares about where he comes from. But all of a sudden, we discover that by the time we are growing up, and then you are beginning to observe the political arena, emphasis are drawn, as per where you come from and all that, not actually as per what you are having to deliver. So it's unfortunate that we are still talking about this at this time. Even though it's needed, even if it will be guaranteed, but mind you, even within the so-called South-South, there are structures that have, divergent opinions and conflicting interests. And even in Southwest, as we speak, I believe there are structures that will never. I don't know if you agree with me that the Olufasha caucus up until now, we still believe that the letter that produced Obasanjo is a fake one. or was a fake election. And these guys are all from Southwest Nigeria. So to me, it's actually more than that. I hope one day we'll get it right. And then our politicians, whoever emerge as a leader, will know that building a country and building a democracy, like what Mr. Patrick said, is not going to be only by zoning, but by daily consensus. Having to shift ground when it's necessary. As it is now, how many Yorubas are, or how many Igbos, so to speak, are adequately covered in a federal character? You know, I mean, so bias appointments and all that. You think somebody from the south will emerge from there and correct this is it will take a lot of hard work. And like I said earlier, let me round up with this. Maybe the next the years ahead of me, I'll begin to see Nigerians. What I see up until this afternoon are Igbos, Yorubas, and outside national in Nigeria, and it's so unfortunate. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I encourage us to mute. Aha. Yeah. Thank you so much to mute our microphone in case we are not talking. Yeah. To our viewers, we appreciate you for staying tuned, and we still encourage that you share this conversation. We are discussing on 2023 elections and of course the zoning of presidency. That's 2023 power play. Now, Mr. Pat. Mr. Martins made a very profound statement that he does not, he has his own unpopular opinion that he does not actually believe in zoning. But coming to look at all of these that has happened or that is happening in the country, the Northwest, have the president. Presently, we know that the South produced former President Goodluck Jonathan, though we understand that a lot of rhetorics are behind that because we are seeing a lot of
Okay, I think we lost Michael. Can you hear me, Mr. Patrick?
Sorry. That Nigeria have not produced a president since 1999. They call all the presidents we've had circumstantial president. That's a school of thought, not my personal opinion. I think we need to know that. Now, my question is this: we are seeing all of these political debacle happening in the southeastern part of the country, and of course, if we are to look at this critically, not ever a constitution or a law or whatever says. I think for national balancing purpose, let me use that language. If power should go to the south, that's my personal opinion. I feel it would be nice if power should go to southeast. But judging from all that is happening in that particular region presently, forces are against themselves that ordinarily we expect that they unite to actually make sure that they get power, but it is somewhat not so. Do you see the southeast actually taking possession of power, the presidential power, as it is being dreamt by
Please go ahead, Mr. Patrick. I believe you heard him.
Yep, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, personally, I feel what is happening in the southeast is not is unfortunate. Actually, is very very unfortunate. I think that should be the first thing I should say. It's very unfortunate. One person that will always condemn any act of violence. I don't believe that people should get what they want through any uh, thing apart from the normal laid out process. So I condemn the violence that is taking place in the southeast in all terms. But having said that, I also strongly believe that what is happening in the southeast is not actually unusual. Nigeria is a country where unusual things happen. Unfortunately, I have the perception, or should I say, I believe that what is happening in the South is more of people coming up with different strategies, trying to push the narrative that if you don't make noise in Nigeria, nobody listens to you. That is why in Nigeria, for labor to actually get what they want, they will either start demonstration or embark on industrial action. So you see that culture has been built. The culture of if you don't speak up, if you don't make noise, if you don't sometimes even engage in act of violence, nobody listens to you. So I feel to a great extent that what is happening in the Southeast is also a kind of strategy to say that, look, guys, if we keep quiet, if we just keep shouting, just keep writing articles, trying to push our cause, these guys are not going to listen to us. We need to, do something, unusual somehow to draw attention and possibly bring everybody on a round table so that we present our case. So that's one. Then two, another thing that is happening is that even though there was a war, most of the people that fought that war are old now. So most of these young guys don't really understand what war is all about. So it's more of act of the youthful exuberance. Why should we be marginalized in our own country? Why should my child, who doesn't have any contribution to what is happening in Nigeria, who is so innocent, why would he or she be expected to write exam for unity schools? As someone from Imo State, my child will be expected to make 138. Someone from Anambra will be expected to make 139 in order to gain admission in unity schools, whereas a child from Yobe and Zamfara State can make as low as 2, 5, 10, 15 marks to gain admission in the same school. And then when it comes to where I have cooperative disadvantage, like in terms of population, Igbos, of course, don't have the kind of population that the North, generally have. When I say North, I mean the whole North. So now, this is where ordinarily I need the assistance of, Northerners. They have advantage when it comes to population. Should I say, based on the, what census has given us, they have that advantage. Now I need them to cooperate with me to make sure that I also feel sense of belonging politically in Nigeria. And where I need them to support me, they are trying to use that advantage they have against me. But where I have advantage, like in terms of education, my child will be expected to make that concession to make sure that someone from the North, gains admission in unity schools. You go to our civil service, you see that there are some states in the North that up till now are not able to fill their quota in the federal civil service. But someone from Imo State, someone from Abia State, someone from Anambra State may be qualified, but because of the level of educational advancement, he or she will not be able to get job at the federal level. So these are some of the things that these young guys are considering, and they are of the view that why should I make concessions where I'm expected to do, and someone from the North will not be willing to also make concession where I expect him or her to do. And then we also come to the issue of there are a whole lot of reasons why I feel Southeast feel like it is their turn to produce the president. But one thing I should also say, it's a very difficult one because I'm from the Southeast, so everything I say may be looked at from a sentiment point of view. But one thing I would also like to emphasize is that the Southeast should try as much as possible. If they really want to produce the president of Nigeria, one of the things that the Southeast must do is to try as much as possible to reduce the rhetorics. Sometimes the rhetorics coming from the Southeast is very, is very hurtful. It's kind of portends, hate. It portends violence sometimes. So if you really want to win the presidency of Nigeria, and you know that you need the Southwest, you need the South, you need the North, for you to be able to win presidency, then I feel like one of the things you should do is to try as much as possible to build bridges with other regions. Reduce the very hostile, rhetorics, and make friends instead of enemies. That's very important. Having said that, I strongly believe that whatever is happening in the Southeast now should not be looked at from the angle of these people are trying to, undermine Nigeria. No, we should look at it from the angle of what are the underlying, causes of this whole issue. Is there really marginalization? If there is marginalization, how do we make sure that, people have that sense of belonging in Nigeria? And I feel, and I'm very convinced about this, that one of the ways that Nigeria can actually make Igbos to understand that Nigeria is for everyone is to also empower them politically. If we have empowered other regions in Nigeria, why won't we also allow the Southeast to be empowered? As I said from the beginning, the most important thing is that if the Southeast is given the opportunity to produce the president, let the process that will lead to that person, coming up, be a very transparent one, be a one that will throw up the best in that particular zone. So that's my stance, and I hope that people will not judge me that I'm being sentimental because I'm an Igbo man.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Pad, and I think that's why we call the platform opinion sharer, just for us to say it as we feel it is or it should be. Yes. Thank you for giving that foundation as well, Mr. Paul. You are from the southern region, and of course, you agree with me that forces are gathering in the southwest as well to ensure that, because we have seen people moving around making advocacy visits for the former governor of Lagos State to actually emerge as a president. When we look at it, it is crystal clear that, quote and unquote, southwest is tilting towards a direction, quote and unquote. Do you see him as being capable of being the next president in the political arithmetic that is going on?
Well, I think your question, they would put me in a position that I probably won't want to be, but then I will attempt it as much as I can. But before I do that, I want to say something, trying to respond to some of the things that my colleague, Mr. Martins, mentioned earlier. And he said two things, and I noted them down. And the first thing that I noted was that the Constitution would have make allowance for zoning by our forefathers if they consider it necessary. But I wanted to say that the Constitution was not designed by our forefathers. Let's not forget that. I mean, unless you want to agree with people like me who believe that this Constitution, the present Constitution, does not represent the Nigeria. When the Constitution says we, the people of Nigeria, agree, we never agreed. Nigerians never agreed on this Constitution. It was designed by a few men, a few, military elites. Those are the people that designed the Constitution, unless those are the people you are referring to as our forefathers. But as far as I'm concerned, the Constitution, by all means, does not represent us. I mean, okay, maybe not every one of us would agree with my position, but I believe that the Constitution does not represent the interests of majority of Nigerians, including myself. And I strongly am saying that with all sense of responsibility. Number two is the issue of assimilation, about that unity in Nigeria would, when would a northerner would accept a southerner, or an Igbo man accept a Yoruba man wholeheartedly, such that we will see in unity in Nigeria. But I think assimilation is not going to help Nigeria as a multicultural society that it is. I think what we should be looking at is accommodation. Okay? See, rather than, I cannot eradicate my culture because of Nigeria. You cannot expect me to behave like a northerner. You cannot expect the northerners to accept the majority of the ways that an average Yoruba or Igbo man live their life. But what we need is leaders who are capable, leaders who understand that we can coexist as a multicultural environment or society and live peaceably, peacefully, and then will prosper. And still, I bear my name. I continue to bear my name, Fadumo. All right? And he continued to bear his name, Abraham or Ibrahim or, Ikechukwu or whatever name he wants to bear. My wife is a woman from Delta, and I don't need her to be a Yoruba woman. I need her. She continued to be a woman from Delta. It doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything. But I've accepted her to live with her for the rest of my life as a Yoruba man. She doesn't have to change. But we need to make an agreement that, okay, this home belongs to us. We must coexist. Bring the different things that we can contribute to this entity called Nigeria and live peacefully. That's what I think, rather than saying maybe we can live above our ethnic nationality. I don't think we can ever do so. In fact, people that are trying to do so will cause more damage than good. Now, responding to your question, Michael, I think people like Tinubu should go and sit down. And this is my honest opinion. A lot of people might not agree with me, and it's okay. I think people like Tinubu have done enough. They have done enough damage, sincerely, because the package is responsible. Just like some people will blame Showore for contributing to bringing Buhari. But I think Tinubu and co played 99% role in bringing people like Buhari. And I don't have anything against Buhari other than the fact that he is a man who from the beginning is almost obvious cannot deliver, cannot perform. But they repackaged him and deceived the people, me inclusive, in 2015 or prior to 2015 as we were preparing for that election. Buhari was prepared because many people in the South doesn't know Buhari. We only heard the story in 1980 something, which were perhaps fabrications. Perhaps it was not better than what we are experiencing today. If Buhari is almost, I'm sure Buhari is 80-something years old. The original age. Okay? So if he is behaving now, look at what he would have how he would have behaved 3 decades ago. So I think people like Tinubu himself, I don't think he has the cerebral power and the understanding of the kind of society that we should be looking up to. You understand? The only advantage somebody like Tinubu might have over Buhari is perhaps his ability to be able to gather people, in his cabinet that might be capable. But at the same time, I think we should give opportunity to fresher brains, whether from the South or whether an Igbo man. I agree that an Igbo man. Let's see what an Igbo man can do. Even though I don't think we should gamble. And that's why I strongly agree with Patrick when he said that it should also be somebody that comes into the system through a system that ensures that the best of us, the best of an Igbo man, or the best of an Hausa man, or the best of an Ijo man, or the best of an Ekiti man, comes to power. So, and I think our problem really is our inability over the years to be able to design a system that produces the best among us and that can, help us or empower us to kick out easily, the ones that are not performing among us. That's my position over this, Michael. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for that position. Now, Mr. Martins, over to you. Yes, we now know some things about the party politics. Now let us look at the constitution of the PDP. The constitution speculates that the chairmanship, the national chairmanship of the party, and the presidential candidate cannot come from same region. And just as it is now, we have the chairman of PDP from the South, and of course, the former presidential candidate, that's Alhaji Atiku Abubakar from, of course, the Northeast. We are seeing all of this happening, bearing in mind that the North, in terms of population, they have it. Now, are we sure that all of these internal arrangement within the political party structure,
They
looking at
not
PDP?
allegedly have it. People like me don't actually believe in it.
Oh, okay, that's your opinion, and of course it should be respected. Yes, judging from what is observable now, because we have voices within the PDP in the south saying something, and of course we can see what is obtainable in the north as well. But from the party constitution saying all of this, are you foreseeing any internal any disagreement as we journey to this 2023, even within PDP? Because Mr. Pat already laid the foundation that the political party will lead the process before the general elections.
Well, thank you very much, Martin. Mr. Paul, I'm not surprised that you didn't buy into my claim. Before I started, I said it's an unpopular opinion. All right. Michael, I think I also agree with what Mr. Patrick said. The political party will have to set the pace. But I think it's actually more than that. Let's look at the election that produced Buhari. How many votes came from the East? Personally, I'm still trying to understand the actual needs of people from that part of the country. Are they actually interested in, you know, political relevance, so to speak, position? It doesn't yet appear to me that there's a clear agenda. I served in Anambra State for a year, and I was almost going to get a job from the school where I served. I served in DMGS Onitsha, in Anambra North local government. I know the work and the quality of Anambrians, and by extension, Easterners. I am not going to doubt their competence to, give leadership and then render stewardship. But to me personally, we still have some elements, who unfortunately they are like, they are foreigners trying to set an agenda that to me is not yet clear. And I begin to ask myself that are these people from are these wonderful people from this part of the country not going to play into the hands of the Northerners again? It appears to me that the agenda is not yet clear, and we are dealing with people who appear to be smarter than us when it comes to politics. Believe you me, I also believe that the so-called figures that Highness released as potential voters or actual voters from the North were hyped. No doubt about that. But on elections day, you see even their, sorry to use this word, siblings, even if possible cows, they go out to vote. But here in the West, in Lagos, for instance, you see us on Twitter, you see our young boys on the field playing ball on election day. And then later in the day, you see us arguing about how the whole process went. So our interest, these people knew quite well that power, some of them believe that is their right anyway, and that when they have power, they have everything, and they are giving it all of their shots to ensure that they attain power and they retain power. And like those of us here who speak grammar and then to write articles like what Mr. Patrick said, and then who engage in Twitter, maybe the ban of Twitter will be extended for that so that we can come out and vote during election this time around. So if care is not taken, Michael, to answer your question, this to me is a calculated attempt to distract, to delay, and to deny, people from this part of the world and efforts to break through the political space. Like I said earlier, I want to also agree with Paul that our constitutions were alien. I mean, our constitution was alien, or is alien as it is to us. But we still have to run with that document until maybe later an adjustment is made. So, having said that, the constitution is still very clear. And all these zoning are party arrangements to work towards balance and to work towards fairness. And if party is now saying that if a chairmanship, a chairman of a political party comes from a region, the president of a region of a country shouldn't come from that same region to me, it doesn't really hold water, and it shouldn't be taken seriously. Okay, how many contracts has Buni, being the classified interim party chair of APC, executed or approved on behalf of Nigeria? The best we can do is to do that for the state. How many contracts has secondary, been able to say, as a party chairman of APC, approve on behalf of Nigeria? To me, I don't really see these things as something that should be taken seriously. If the Southerners, particularly people from the East, I'm looking forward to a particular time, and I kept telling my very close ally that our industrial revolution will begin the day we hand over the reign of, Nigeria to those from the East. We have tried almost every other sector, every other, region of this country. In the West, we claim to have education, alleged education, like what Mr. Fox is saying. How far is that transferred to development? In the North, they say they have population, but we all know that it's not
We
about
have
the quantity.
certificates.
It's not about the quantity, but the quality of what we offer. And then we've not actually tried the heat, to let us have a taste of what they can offer. So I have the doubt. I don't have the doubt in me that if we do, that might be the industrial revolution that this country needs at a time like this. But before we do that, we must have a clear agenda. Personally, I have fear that people like Nnamdi Kanu, does not even see the possibility of a Nigeria. Calling the whole country a zoo doesn't really tell me that if power is handed over to this region and having structure like Kanu still behind them, I'm not really, I'm not really, I'm not really sure what will happen to Nigeria. Of course, we also have our own agitations from the south here, from the west, particularly southwest here in Nigeria. But how are we really sure that elements within each region will be accommodated, that interests within each region will be accommodated? Well, I tend to a little bit disagree with what Mr. Paul said that it will be very hard for us to have a unified entity. With the little I've read about the United States of America, I think they are supposed to be more divided than Nigeria. But at some point, they say that if we actually going to progress as a nation, there's need for us to accommodate, and then there's need for us to enlist interest. There's need for us to, ensure inclusivity when it comes to our policy. And that's, of course, what breaks the Electoral College pointed out by Mr. Patrick earlier. So it is possible for us to, like I said earlier, I have friends on my list who are not actually good ones, who are not actually from my tribe. Does that make them less an Igbo person? No. Does that make them less an Hausa person? No. They are still Nigeria, and I relate with them on the basis of that. When it now comes to me having to expect something extraordinary because somebody is coming from a region, to me, we are losing the focus. The suspicion is there. The feel is there that a feedback, for instance, is just in the presidency doing nothing. And then Southwest are saying we are having representatives in the government. So there are a lot of issues. If a feedback they're not competent, when you ask the question of competence, is it included? Yes. But what has been the contribution of the feedback to this government? So it's actually deeper than we think it is. So let me just say, Michael, that if we are not careful, if the East is not careful this time around, this calculated attempt will linger into 2023. That is, Nigeria will still be. And then let me even say that the trial of Nnamdi Kanu might be the focus that will distract the East, from really coming up together and ensure cohesion that is needed to search for a common ground. But would they be able to deliver? Something is telling me yes. But then there must be a very clear agenda. And average Isa that I talk to on a daily basis will still talk to me about we want to leave this country. I was joking with a fella here very close to my house. I said, "What are you doing in my country, Nigeria, without a visa?" And the guy was like, "No, I don't go anywhere. We just want this country to work." That's also that is still very much possible, but there must be a clear agenda. so that we don't just set everything on fire, so that we don't have ourselves to blame. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Martin. I feel Mr. Parts, you have something to say to his position, if I may be correct.
Um, Not really, but if I should just chip in few things. The
Okay.
thing is, just like he said, uh, I believe the Southeast has what it takes to produce the president. But I keep emphasizing the fact that you don't just give a region the opportunity to produce the president of a country of 200 million people, and then without putting measures in place to make sure that the best comes out of that region. That is very, very important. And I strongly believe that the Southeast has what it takes in terms of persons to lead Nigeria. Also, having said that, one thing I also want people to understand is that when we talk about Nnamdi Kanu and IPOB, IPOB is just a very small fraction of what Igbo represents. There are a whole lot of Igbo people out there who do not, subscribe to the position of Nnamdi Kanu and IPOB. It's not as if these people who do not subscribe to his strategy do not understand that there is marginalization, or there is the need for the Igbos to be given the opportunity to also lead Nigeria like the other major ethnic groups have done. No, they do, but the thing is that they understand that these things can be done in better ways than through violence. And then the fact that most of these guys who do these things are young people. I think I've said this before. Most of them are young people. Most of them are not really educated. They're not really exposed. So they do not understand what conflict is all about. They do not understand what war is all about. They don't understand that when it comes to war, when it comes to conflict, that everybody is vulnerable. So we should understand some of these things from this perspective, that these young people may not understand. And this IPOB and Nnamdi Kanu or the ESN do not represent the Igbo as a group.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Part, for that submission. Now, Mr. Paul, I'm trying to pick this party internal arrangement so that we can understand, or rather, make our audience understand some things within. Now, yesterday I was reading about a statement by the governor of Kogi State. Whether we like it or not, is a stakeholder within the APC party, because he's been saddled with many responsibility, and his position maintained that there is nothing like zoning in the in the party constitution of APC, as it were, that nothing of such exists like that. And when we look at this, because we are beginning to understand his interest as well, now that he's saying all of this as against his colleagues from the same region, that's the north, because he's from the north central, and of course the larger population of the south. What do you make of that position?
Well, I think Mr. Bello is a politician. So and I consider his statements what any politician who is interested in power will say. So that even though the issue of zoning, like many important personalities in Nigeria have said recently, that it's not in the constitution, though maybe that of the PDP, but then it is like something that we know. It's like it is normal. It is like what is just for us to do. You understand? So even when we play politics, even when we do business, there should be at the back of our mind, that okay, there should be equity and justice. So it doesn't have to be to necessarily be written down expressly, before we agree and be considerate that okay, if there are two people in the vehicle and somebody has been enjoying while the other person is been driving. So, it might also make sense for you to give the chance, okay, let me also drive, or, let that person relax as well while the other person take charge. So I think it's something, it's an unwritten constitution. that I believe that any reasonable politician would want to understand. But then I understand the position of Mr. Bello as well, because he wants power, and he believes that the baton is currently in the hands of his party, the APC. So perhaps he can appeal to the membership or the members or the leadership of the party, to perhaps consider him. But then I don't see him going far. I don't see him going far, even though he's been claiming to be a youth. And looking at the fact that majority of the population of the country are mostly youths, that maybe can appeal to them, but I don't think he represents those of us, even in our age mate, so or in our age bracket and below. I don't think he represents us. He represents the elitist political class that we are planning to get out of office. So whether his age is not important here, and his party affiliation is not important to people like me. So we want to get people like him out of office because we don't see what he has done, really. He's even denying science in the state. So we need somebody who will acknowledge that COVID-19 is a situation that we need to, a situation that we need to look for scientific solution to. And if he is denying something that is as little as COVID-19 in the state, so when you give him Nigeria, what do you think he will do? He's perhaps not going to do much more than Buhari, who is saying we should return back to the grazing route of 1973 or 83 or thereabout. So for me, I don't think I will take him seriously.
Yeah, can I chip in something?
Yeah, please go ahead, Mr. Pat.
Yeah, so just to add to what Mr. Paul said, one thing Nigerians should understand is that every society evolves. That we talk about the Americans, we talk about United Kingdom and some of these very advanced countries. They did not start today. When you read the history of these people, when their democracy started, there were some crude measures taken. There were some practices that today, if they look back, they will say, did we actually do this? So every society evolves. Nigeria is a society that is still a baby when it comes to democracy. There are some practices and some features of Nigeria that makes what Mr. Bello was talking about very, very difficult to do. For instance, when you look at the current president, most of his aides and assistants are from the north. These are aides that ordinarily their position should not be very influential. But because of the way we run our system, these aides are very, very influential. Some of them are even more influential than ministers. When you hear presidential aide, presidential assistants, these are very powerful guys who pull the plugs. These are guys who can stop. Let's use the example of Anduba during Obasanjo's government. Anduba was just special assistant or special aide, something like that, on domestic affairs, which under normal circumstances, one can say he was a houseboy. But Anduba was more powerful than some ministers. Now, every president that comes tends to employ or appoint people from his region, people he knows very well as his personal aides and assistants. And these guys weigh so much power. Now, if you insist that, we can throw it open, let anybody contest, and the North keeps winning, and the president keeps appointing those who are around him, who are so influential to fly private Nigerian presidential private jets whenever they want, are you not at the same time trying to cause issues? Then there is also the issue of our system naturally accommodates what I call nepotism, even though the system may not be seeing it from that point of view. In fact, it's cultural. It's cultural to Nigeria that if you appoint me as a minister tomorrow, possibly I will get someone from Imo State to be my assistant. So if you appoint me as, and in Nigeria, when you appoint an aide in Nigeria will also have an assistant. So you see that a president in Nigeria weighs so much powers that at the end of the day, if you concentrate it in one region, it will keep causing problems. And over time, it has been proven that zoning has been a way of maintaining peace. Look at what is happening in Ethiopia, the Tigray people. Even the conflict in Rwanda, it was also because of issue of ethnicity and religion. Look at what happened in Central African Republic. It was more of religion and ethnicity. And in it, there was a time I wanted to mention the issue of Switzerland. I wanted to mention Switzerland because Switzerland is one of the very advanced and developed countries. But I would advise Nigerians to read about leadership in Switzerland. In Switzerland, they have presidents that rules for 1 year. It's a council. That council appoints a president who leads for just 1 year. The person may get the opportunity of leading again, but you can only lead for 1 year at a time. And it's wrong. And if people know, about Switzerland, Switzerland is also very diverse. It's a very diverse country. So in order to accommodate that diversity, they came up with that strategy of, or that, will I call it strategy now of trying to make sure that each of the people or the groups that make up Switzerland have that sense of belonging by, having someone from their own side become the president for 1 year, another person takes over, the person may still win again. So zoning is not outdated. Zoning is not anti-progressive. I seriously believe that APC was being too progressive when it failed to accommodate zoning in its constitution. And the truth is that APC has not even demonstrated that progressiveness. While drafting their constitution, they did not consider the peculiarities of Nigeria. The peculiarities of Nigeria still emphasizes that zoning is a very good strategy of promoting peace in Nigeria. There will be a time that naturally will overgrow zoning. It's a process. We are just 21 years. A child of 21 years may be an adult, but he or she is still under the tutelage of the parents to an extent. So 21 years is too short a time for us to now say, no, we're going to discard zoning. Anybody can win, whether you're from the east, you're from the south. No, there should be an intentional steps to make sure that every Nigerian have that sense of belonging. Then with time, as Nigeria keeps evolving, with time, the issue of zoning will go. By that time, we would have built more bridges. We would have, attained some level of, progress in our democracy. There would have been advancement in development that people will no longer mind that he's an Hausa man, it doesn't matter. He's a Yoruba man, it doesn't matter. But for now, Nigerians are still very conscious about their tribe. Nigerians are still very conscious about their religion. And while doing things, we should gradually make sure that these things are considered. And then when we overgrow it, good, we can move ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Parks, for the submission. Now we are, of course, coming to the end of the conversation, and I think it's very important that we consider the youth population in this political power play as we go into 2023 elections across party lines. And I'll still come back to Mr. Part. You have mentioned that earlier on, but I feel it is important for emphasis sake across all of these political game going on. What do you think the role of the young people, particularly, yes, because we are being marginalized. I'm one of them. What do you think we should do to actually ensure we fit into this political permutation?
Yeah, I've worked with lots of youths. I'm also a youth myself, even though I'm more than 35 now. Based on AU requirement and even United Nations requirement, and even Nigerian youth policy, it says 35, and I'm above 35. So I may not necessarily be a youth anymore. But the truth is that I believe that being a youth is not just a criteria to be, or a criterion to be given leadership. We've mentioned somebody who is a youth, who happens to be the youngest governor in Nigeria. And from all indication, I don't think he has actually proved to Nigerians that giving youth, opportunity will make Nigeria another developed world. No. So while I've said that, it doesn't mean that there are no youths out there who are doing well, and who, if given the opportunity, will not do a fantastic job. No, there are. But I don't believe that youth should be given the mantle of leadership just because they are youth. Youth should be given mantle of leadership just because they have the capacity and the competence to do the job. So now, as young people, as youth ourselves, how do we, come on board? One of the ways that we can come on board is, first of all, how do we liberate ourselves from economic hardship? Because the thing is that a poor youth will find it difficult to vote for another youth who does not have money to give. Nigerian politics is still, revolves around money. You give money. I've done presiding officer in some elections in Nigeria, and I know, what happened. Once you will see somebody who is coming to vote party A, and then when the person comes there, and party B gives him money, he votes for party B. So the youth should try as much as possible. It still boils down to, our leaders who happens to be old men, to empower themselves. If you have something doing, you have your independence. Your conscience becomes yours. Money will not, make you change your mind or change your decision on what you want to do. So number one, I feel like the young people themselves should empower themselves economically the way they can. Secondly, the young people themselves should understand the power in vote. Vote is one thing that nobody can come and take away from you. My father cannot tell me who to vote. I will tell myself who to vote. My brother cannot tell me who to vote. My mother cannot tell me who to vote. I would decide on who to vote. And then our youth are not also being active in politics. When you join a political party as a youth, do you join to become a bag carrier, or do you join to become an active participant? How do you become an active participant? By studying the politics of your locality, because every politics is local. You understand the politics of your locality. You attend meetings, you become active member. You prove to these old men that you have the capacity, because the thing is that for an elderly person to actually give you opportunity as a youth, he or she will have to see your capacity that you can do this, which they want you to do. So our youth, are they being active participants of in political parties? Are we also trying to build blocks? Because these old men build blocks. When you come to APC has blocks. The older people. Do younger people in APC, do we have blocks? So that at the end of the day, when we come to the bargaining table, these older people will know that if we don't put this block into consideration, they have the capacity to actually undo us. So young people should understand some of these things. That just like I said about the Southeast, that nobody will come and tell the Southeast, take the presidency. You need to build bridges. The same way, youth should also understand that our old people will not, relinquish leadership. We need to start working towards it systematically by active participation in the political process, and also presenting ourselves for elective position. I feel like if the youth of Nigeria should understand these things and put it into consideration, and these elderly people know that these young people have understood what politics is all about, and the process that can actually acquire, power, they will understand our significance and give us our due respect.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Paul. Let's have your reaction to that. The youth in the power play for 2023 elections as we round up the conversation.
Thank you. I agree with Patrick, and just like he said, I'm not also I'm not a youth myself. I think I gradually crossed that age limit, but I'm willing to participate in building the kind of powerful youth that we need, the kind of youth that is, that understand what community development means, that understand politics, and I come to what this guy was saying about Nnamdi Kanu earlier, which is to have, I think they don't have the Igbo youth, an average Igbo youth is brilliant, but they've not understand the power that they have, or that they possess. Just like an average Nigerian also does not know the power that they possess, But when you also look at it very well, you understand the implication of the kind of leadership struggle and parenting problem. That's why I'm seriously advocating for deliberate, intentional parenting in Nigeria, because all of these things culminate into making us having the kind of society that we have today. We cannot, it cannot happen suddenly. And I'm not among the people who believe that Nigeria is still too young to be crawling, because we are not really moving at this rate, you know. So I want to see the youth who understand what they are doing, who are not just myopic. I want the average youth, Nigerian youth, to get beyond the level of God will do it. And this is another area where sometimes criticize our religious organizations that are so much brainwashed people that they think like the politics is evil. That only it is what comes from God that is good, or it's only what the pastor or the imam says that is good. Meanwhile, when you look at civilized societies, they were not built by angels. They were built by human beings like us. People who are perhaps, some of them are not even as brilliant as we could be. Some of them don't even have the kind of human power or manpower that we could process. But the only problem is that our manpower and knowledge and number is only raw. It's never been processed, you know. And that's why I believe that this platform is there, to serve as an engaging opportunity, for if I was to be in Nigeria, this is something that I would want to do on a weekly basis, gather people together, especially youths in my community, and then we discuss, because I'm a social worker, so I understand the subject of community development, the community engagement. These are things that we need to build. And I don't believe an average political party in Nigeria even has structure. It is money that is gathered to share. When I was in Nigeria and I was younger, I know now, because my father was very influential in the politics of Ekiti. So when these politicians come to our house in night, they might be there for hours, but eventually, what do? They will share money. They will share rice. They will share salt. They're not really discussing and debating. I've been, by the reason of where I am now, I've been, and some of my studies in the past, I've been in organizations where people are discussing international politics. People are discussing what is happening around the world, and the kind of sittings, the kind of engagement that you see. I don't see that happening among our youth today. Everybody is most of the people that are on the internet today now, they want to talk about the latest music, or it is football, and there's nothing wrong about those things, But at the same time, if you don't take care of what is important to you, somebody else will make your decisions for you, especially with politics.
Yeah,
Anyway.
thank you so much for that submission, and of course, we must sincerely appreciate Mr. Pat for joining us. We appreciate your time, and of course, Mr. Paul, thanks for rendering your opinion, and of course, Mr. Olamide Martins in absentia. We are indeed very grateful to our audience for staying tuned to this conversation, and of course, we are encouraging you as we move towards 2023 general elections. It is very important that we get our voters card. If there's any narrative we want to change in our polity, we can't change it by mere words of mouth. We need to go out, get registered, and of course make sure we participate in elections. Don't just participate alone, encourage others to equally participate, and that is when we can have a nation of our dream. We sincerely want to thank you once again for joining us. Always stay tuned to this platform every Fridays and Saturdays as we have educative conversation as this. So 2023 is around the corner daily. So let us be part of it, and God bless Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Pat.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you for
our
having
viewers.
me.
Please do share the link, share the video. I believe this has been engaging. Thank you very much. We'll be here again next weekend.